Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of County Cavan in Ireland. As you can see, we are in the northern area of the Republic of Ireland. Gotta word that carefully because you can see right here bordering County Cavan is Northern Ireland, which is not part of the Republic of Ireland. But I can say that County Cavan is part of a historic region called Ulster. This whole northern part of the island of Ireland is part of Ulster. So instead of saying like Northern Republic of Ireland, you can just say Ulster, and people will know what you're talking about. It's very complex, and of course we will get into it. But first we have to talk about the fascinating geography of this little piece of Ireland. And also, as you can tell by my voice, I am American. I'm going to be pronouncing things the American style. So last time when I did County Carlow, you guys were very kind, which is unusual when I cover Ireland. Usually you guys are brutal, but like in an Irish way, not in a mean way. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm going to be pronouncing things with my American accent, American style. So the geography here is very interesting, like I said. The landscape is dominated by something known as drumlins, which are essentially little oval-shaped mounds throughout the year, especially like down here. You can see the capital of Cavan right there. Surrounding all of these drumlins are little lakes, or lochs as they say in Ireland, and they say that County Cavan has 365 lakes, so you can visit one lake each day of the year. The largest, from what I can tell, is down here. This is I just blinked on it, Loch Sheelin. Loch Sheelin. When I look at this map, I see this. And this looks very huge, but when I look on Google Earth, this is just a big series of lakes. So maybe if it rains or something, it turns into one big lakey area. But according to Google Earth, it's just like a ton of tiny lakes. One of them's really neat. There's a castle in the middle of one of the lakes there. It's pretty cool. All of this wet landscape also creates a lot of beautiful rivers. The longest being, I believe it's pronounced Aire, the River Aire flowing through most of the county. But the most famous is, of course, the River Shannon, which is the longest river in Ireland. You can see up here in the little panhandle area of the county, it's a bit mountainous here. These are and I might mispronounce this, it says it right there, the Cuff Mountains, Cuilcov, or something like that, mountains. And that is there you can find the Shannon Pot, which is kind of like over here. And that is the source of the River Shannon. Pretty cool. But this wet landscape also creates bogs, which I'm sure for UK and Irish viewers are not exciting and kind of lame, but for an American like me where we don't have bogs, I've always found bogs really fascinating. You know, when we were little, we went through like an ancient Egypt or an ancient Greek phase. I went through a bog body phase where I was reading all about bog discoveries. So there's a ton of bogs here. There's some really cool, there's like one really big cool one like up here that of course we're going to look at on Google Earth. I think they're so fascinating and so important to Irish history because you can collect peat moss from the bogs and it's flammable. So many people used that in their hearths to keep warm when they had no other flammable materials used to start a fire. But let's go into that history. It's not very complex in this corner of Ireland, not like in other parts of beautiful Ireland. But we will talk about it. Because there's another thing in this county that if you watch my channel, you know I'm also very obsessed with, and that is stone circles and dolmens and things like that. And there's quite a few, like up here, I believe. I'll have to find them on Google Earth. It's right near a big old bog, also near a burren. There is the Burren National Park down, you can't see it, it's down there, which is basically where the rocky, underneath all of the beautiful green of Ireland, poke up and create a very pronounced landscape. There's a little bit of Burren over here. And over there are some, they're called portals, which sounds really spooky, but they're essentially old-timey burial sites for the ancients here. And I'm obsessed with them. Again, a thing we don't have in America that I absolutely love, that UK and Irish people take for granted, I think. You should, if you live somewhere where there's a stone circle nearby, do me a favor, go visit it for me. Go visit it, leave a comment, tell me about your local stone circle, because I want to vicariously live through you. This county has a historic kingdom within it known as the Kingdom of Breffni. And there were two main clans or families that ruled the Kingdom of Breffni. To the west of the county, there was the O'Rourkes, and they seemed, from what I can tell in my research, not as prevalent as the ones that ruled in the east. The real Kingdom of Breffni was ruled by the O'Reilly clan. The O'Reillys built a ton of castles and forts. They resisted the Normans once the Normans started to enter the island of Ireland, and I wouldn't say resisted English control in the way that other parts of Ireland did, like actual fighting. It seemed like the O'Reillys tolerated them, and the English tolerated the O'Reillys for a long time, until the 1600s into the 1700s. Which, from what I can tell, in Ireland is kind of unique. Usually by then they were fed up with the English. The O'Reilly clan up here is also where we get the figure of speech, the life of Riley, which we don't really say in America. I've heard it a couple of times, but it's living extravagantly and carelessly and just lavishly, living the life of Riley. Gives you an idea of what it was probably like being an O'Reilly in the O'Reilly clan. But like I said, the English influence became ever more prevalent up here in this part of Ireland within Ulster. And by 1610, the plantation of Ulster began. Now, plantation is another word in Ireland that means something completely different than what it means here in Ireland. They were essentially planting people, specifically English people, with some Scottish people as well. Planting people into the local landscape here to start infusing their culture, their language, their religion, their way of life, all of those things, in an attempt to slowly but surely integrate it into the population here and turn them more and more British. Which, of course, the Irish people, for the most part, did not really appreciate. And many parts of Ireland resisted. You know, when you plant people like that in an area, integration will always happen because we're all humans. It's just, we're social creatures. We mimic each other, right? So there were some parts of Ireland that did, find a cohesion between the planters and the Irish. But I don't think as successfully as the English wanted it to be. This county also suffered greatly during the potato famine, which occurred in the 1840s. I feel like everyone knows about the potato famine. It's just one of those periods of history that we all got taught in school for whatever reason, where most Irish people lived off a diet of potatoes because it's a very easy, very sturdy crop. Sorry if you can hear the cats. They're playing over in the corner. But there was a potato blight that occurred on the island in the 1840s that killed off a lot of the potatoes, and many people went very hungry to the point of, not needing food anymore because they were no longer within their bodies. And many millions of Irish suffered that fate. Many other millions of Irish left Ireland for the United States, for Canada, for Britain, other parts of the world where they could just find food, and stability. So that disease in the potatoes affected Ireland greatly. And of course, they received no aid from Britain, who was ruling over Ireland at that time. But that's a whole other story. All right, let's talk about this border here with Northern Ireland. So when I said that the planters brought their religion, they brought the Protestant church with them, the Church of England. The Irish were mainly Catholics and had been since the introduction of Christianity onto the island. So there's a lot of resistance because, if you don't know, Catholicism is a very ritualistic religion. They are very set in their ways and have to do things very specifically. Protestantism, not so much. It's much more relaxed. So people who appreciate those strict traditions and rituals, things like that, didn't appreciate the laxness of it. Not to mention it was British, and the Irish wanted nothing to do with Great Britain. They wanted independence, so lots and lots of resistance between the Catholics and Protestants. It culminated into more violent actions until something needed to be done about it. It was after World War I at this point. Something needed to be done. So Great Britain decided to grant Ireland their independence except for the northern part here, which would stay part of the UK as Northern Ireland. And that's because most of the people in this part of Ulster were now Protestant, and most of the people in this part of Ulster were still Catholic. That created, naturally, a lot of tension that came to be known as the Troubles, where a lot of the initial problems were solved, but the tension was still there, and it would boil over, really reaching its peak in about the 1990s, until they signed the Good Friday Agreement to stop the violence. And like 99.5% of that violence is over. I already covered Belfast on my channel. It used to be a very dangerous place. Now it's extremely safe. But the Troubles did affect this border here with County Cavan. And you know what? I think I'm going to save it for Google Earth because there's a little memorial to the Troubles on the border here with Ireland and Northern Ireland, in that the British would constantly close the border to try to stop people crossing over between the two countries. And the people here would actively demolish those roadblocks. So I'll show you what they did on Google Earth. There's a little memorial for that. Yeah, I think we're going to stop it there for history, to be honest, because everything else I want to show you is on Google Earth. So that is essentially the history of County Cavan. From what I understand, it's a very quiet little corner of Ireland. Not much goes on here. It's all very quaint and serene and pretty. But not a lot of, to-dos happening there, which is always a good thing. So yeah, let me turn out the lights and get my tablet, and we will look at County Cavan on Google Earth. Let's go. Here we are in County Cavan. And let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. Here is the island of Ireland. Here's the Republic of Ireland. And here's Northern Ireland. Now, I know people are going to drop comments being like, oh, unite Ireland. We don't acknowledge Northern Ireland. And that's well and fine. I actually, not to put my own opinions in, but I would totally agree with that, to be honest. But that is not the case today. Maybe it will be someday, but not today. And here is Great Britain, the island of Great Britain within the United Kingdom. Right next door. And here's, of course, Western Europe over here. France just down here. Spain just down there. Iceland just up there. And there's beautiful Ireland. Now, you see how far north we are. Why isn't Ireland and the UK all covered in ice and snow? It is due to something called the Gulf Stream. Over here's the Gulf of Mexico. And warm waters just whoosh up this way, going through an invisible river all the way up here. So bringing all of this warm from the Caribbean and almost like tropical areas of the world and just whooshing it up there. So that is why Ireland is very green, 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 as you can see from here. It's super green. And, you know, it snows there, it gets cold, but it's not Norway, it's not Iceland, you know. It's not considered like a very cold place. They actually have some pretty mild summers. I know I was in England during a summer and it was, you know, I got sunburned. It wasn't blisteringly hot, but it wasn't cold. That's for sure. It was cloudy a lot, but not that cold. All right. Let's start here in the county town of Cavan. And you can see that a lot of places are still called Breffni, after the kingdom that was once here, ruled by the O'Reillys. Let's see. What do I need to show you here? I guess we should look at the church, which is, of course, for St. Patrick. I believe this is one of the oldest buildings in the town. Oh, look at it. Oh, she's having communion. But there's also the town hall, which I believe is also another. Oh, there's concert venue. Another very classic older building there. Lots of concert photos in that slideshow. But it's a very typical Irish town. You can see all the little farmlands surrounding it, little patchworks. Let's see if I just pick the town. Yeah, see, there's the church. There's a lake. There's a lot of lakes here. It's just a little quiet town. They got some golf over here. Oh, here's that castle I told you about. So you can see Loch Out here. See, like this is, remember that big lake that was on my map? This is it. It's a bunch of little lakes with all of those rolling hills in between. So here's the Castle Island, one of the very old O'Reilly castles, or at least what's left of it. It looks like it's just the tower and some of the stairs leading up to it. They're still there, but it's very pretty, isn't it? Looks a little bit haunted, but in the good way, right? Not in a creepy way, in like a mystical way. Look at that. That's so cool. All mossy and overgrown. Very beautiful. There's all kinds of castles throughout. I'm sure that we'll run across a few more. And here's the forest that surrounds this beautiful lakey area. It's gorgeous. Beautiful green forest. Lovely lakes. They look so calm. And I imagine, this looks like Thomas Kincaid. My goodness, the little cottage in the woods. Yeah, these lakes look very calm. Apparently, they're also quite good for fishing as well. There's the castle. It's beautiful here. found a lot of tourist websites trying to push people to come to County Cavan for hiking and fishing and all of those activities. And I can see why, because it's very beautiful. There's Loch Sheelan down here. And I don't think I found any good pictures for Loch Sheelan, but you can see all of this gorgeous farmland here. Isn't it beautiful? It looks like a plant cell. You know what I mean? If you've looked at a plant. Ballyjamestuff is such a great name for a town. And here's the Cavan County Museum. And this beautiful old building, definitely once an old manor house of some kind. Looks like a little World War I trench here that you can explore. And a memorial there of some kind. But yeah, it looks like you can be in the trenches. Or an old farmhouse. Oh, this is for the Battle of the Somme, which happened nowhere near here, but I'm sure that many soldiers from this area fought in that battle. Some uniforms from them, some punks, I think for the injured soldiers. Some more ancient artwork there, really interesting. What a neat exhibit, little World War I exhibit there. Yeah, Ballyjamestuff is just very perfectly 10 out of 10 Irish name for a place. Let's see, I've just been like picking a random spot in the county and zooming in and just finding like little beautiful sites. Let's see, what are some good ones to show you? You could see all the lakes all throughout. There's a waterfall right here. The Tullydermot Falls. How pretty. It tells you about it there in English and Gaelic. So it's so red sometimes. I assume it's from all of that soil. Oh my goodness, it's like rust colored. This child's demonstrating the waterfalls for us. And the cats are playing, sorry. Very beautiful. All right. Here is the bog. Right? This has to be it. Right? Why isn't anything popping up for it? Oh no, this is the... No, wait. This is the mountains. That's the bog. Here are the various mountains throughout this area here. And of course, it's stunning as always. So beautiful. This flat landscape. Yes, kitties, I know. They are wrestling. Sorry for the kitties. It is their playtime. It's gorgeous here. Ooh, spooky little cavey area. We're gonna see a spooky cave tomorrow. I can't wait to show you. It must be at the top of the mountain there. Look at this landscape. My goodness, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Where's the bog? It's right here. I know it is. I was looking at the slideshow for the bog. There's a wind farm. Where's the... It's not popping up. You can see the river flowing through it. I swear. Where did it go? Well, that's unfortunate. I wanted to show you guys the big old bog. But if we look somewhere over here, I think we can find the Shannon Pot. Oh, an old stone dwelling. Oh, there's the Shannon Pot up there. The old stone dwelling. Oh, that place is definitely haunted. Here is the source of the Shannon River. There's, of course, legends around it and such. As, like, almost every place in Ireland. Got a little park there for the kids. Little sheepies nearby walking their dogs here. The Shannon River. I guess they're going to paddle around in it. Oh no. We've all been down one of these slides, right? When we were kids on a hot summer day. Oh, there's nothing more painful. Just feeling your flesh rip off of your legs. Oh, it hurts. There's a fort up here. The Moneygashel Fort. Look at that. Or at least what's left of it, right? It's all grassy and overgrown. Beautiful. There's definitely something supernatural going on here as well. Look at that. That's incredible. Maybe an old Celtic fort. And over here you can see the Burren portal tomb. So here is the little Burren. Little teeny tiny Burren area. And we can see the rocks around here. My favorite. It's so cool. So yes, these were burial sites for, we assume, important figures. And they would create these dolmens and deliberately move these big rocks around to create a landscape. And we don't know why. In some cases, we don't really know how. We know that they use like levers and such. But, yeah, one of the mysteries that our ancient ancestors left behind for us. Like, why these rocks in particular? Maybe they thought that, oh, that's pretty, that these rocks were mystical, magical as well. Surely, to some extent. The Boulder Grave. Ooh. Yeah, interesting. A little rock there holding up this big rock. The Wedge Tomb, the Tully Goblin. Oh, there's no pictures. And then here we can see the Cavan Burren Park, which is full of all these old glaciated rocks. Some of them have been there since the glaciers receded, and some of them were put there by our ancestors deliberately. Very neat. What was that? The Giant's Leap? I think we looked at that already, but that's a great name. What was that? Come back. The Druidic Altar Wedge Tomb? Hold on. Oh, there's no pictures. Alright, any Irish people out there, you know where to go. Hit up the County Cavan Burren. I want to show you guys real quick the actual Burren over here, right? Over here. Over here? Yeah, the Burren National Park, which is where that name comes from this landscape here. But we are not down there, we are up here. Alright, let me find, I believe it was near Black Lion over here. Or maybe another town near the border. I honestly don't remember where I found it. But we're going to look here until we find it. Maybe we'll come across other cool slideshows too. Yeah, just really nothing separating. Oh, look at all this bog. Nothing separating Ireland from Northern Ireland, right? Oh, except this big mountain peak here. Look at that. Right along there. No, it was definitely up here somewhere. Let me see. You can hear little kitties playing. Maybe, let me zoom out a bit. I don't want to go too far. I swear it was over here. Watch me not find it. That would be so sad. Yeah, maybe not on this road. Alright, there are two towns that the border went through. Maybe it was a Black Lion. I could have sworn it was, though. Maybe Ballyconnell. I don't remember. This is so bad because I hyped it up for you guys. What is the Crenelg? Hold on. What is the Crenelg? Please be pictures. There's no pictures. That will remain a mystery. Someone's gonna have to tell me what that is. Goodness. I've completely forgotten where this memorial was. Oh, here's a bog for sure. Look at this. I wonder why the border went through all these bogs. Maybe it's just there's a lot of bogs Maybe this little walk will show us the landscape here. Nope, just the trail. That's okay. So it was advertised. My goodness. I could have sworn it was up at Black Lion. Well, that's upsetting. I'm gonna have to type it in. Give me a second. Okay, so yeah, I was wrong. It was nowhere up there. It was over here. The Border Buster. Right here. So they, bless you, kitty. They left behind these big cranes, and there's a little plaque there for the Border Busters. It says this monument is dedicated to the men and women who traveled from every corner of Ireland to join in the struggle to keep the border roads open and to defy the efforts of the Crown forces to keep them closed. Oh, that'd have been much easier to read. So you can see they brought these big excavators in, and they left one here to stop any roadblocks that the British or the Northern Irish government would put up to keep people from crossing in. Looks like they put signs on there, but that's too far away. So that's the Border Busters. Yeah, I think that was all the things I wanted to show you. I don't know why none of these bog slideshows are popping up. That's very upsetting. Why don't we do this? Let's just type bog in County Cavan. Bog near County Cavan. Let's just see what happens. See, look at that. I told you that was a big old bog. Let's see. There's no pictures, surely. Ooh, look at it. Surely. Very distressing. Do you think that this is in? No. No, it's not. Well, it says County Cavan. Oh yeah, look at that. There's another bog. But there's no pictures there either. I swear I saw some somewhere. Oh well. You'll just have to take my word for it. It's all swampy. It's all mysterious. And really pretty in my opinion. Alright, why don't we look at some more pretty mountains. There's Ballyconnell right there. We already looked at Ballyconnell a little bit, didn't we? Let's look at, where are the mountains at? There are other slideshows over here. Please? Why is it? There we go. My goodness. There's no pictures here, but isn't that pretty? That's kind of a little boggy landscape there a little bit. Just a little bit. Where's another one? Here we go. The Breffni Mountains. Isn't that appropriate? Here we go. We'll end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. This rock looks like a big cow. Do you see it? Do you see its little ears and eyes and nose? Little tail? Next in this series, we're actually going to the UK, but we're not going to England. We're not going to Scotland. We're not going to Wales. And no, we're not going to Northern Ireland. But we are going to the UK. Can you guess where we're going? Ooh, these rocks are cool. I love cool rocks. Can you guess where we're going? Let me know in the comments if you can guess. Remember, we're going in alphabetical order. Can you guess where we're going? Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're still awake watching this, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. How'd I do, Irish people? How'd I do this time? We'll be going to County Clare soon enough, so let me know any cool stuff I need to mention about County Clare before that happens. It won't be for a few months or so, but sooner than later. I do hope though that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good